again and welcome to the Vandy Christian Network. I am Pastor David Vandy. In subsequent programs, I told you all that we're working on programs that we'll be bringing to the network. And today we are going to start a discussion. And as we all know, the month of March is the International Women's Month. So today I have with me a long-time colleague in the field of broadcasting, and that is Miss Olive Sawyerr, who is my guest for today's program. And today we're going to be looking at the rights of women. We'll be looking biblically the rights of women in the Bible. We are also going to expand on it a little bit. We're going to make it open. We're not just going to focus on that. So let me take this opportunity to welcome my guest, Miss Olive Sawyerr. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me around.
All right. So now let's get to the point. Miss Sawyerr, it's so good to see you again. And, like I said, we just want to talk a little bit. You know, these days there is so much going on around the rights of women. But I want us to start off by looking at what the Bible talks about, okay?
Yes.
And if we look at, in Genesis, we'll say most of the Bible teachings about women were based upon the foundation that was laid in Genesis, in the book of Genesis, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how you interpret it. It has always been God, the man, and then the woman. Even in the home, as well as anywhere. It was God, then you get the man, and then you get the woman. That was spelled out clearly. But the Lord said that it is not good for a man to be alone, so I will make him a suitable helper, a helper suitable for him.
Yes, indeed.
You see?
Yes, indeed.
God said, I will make a helper suitable for him. What does this mean? I will make him a helper suitable for him, from your own perspective.
From my own perspective, a helper. I've always done this analysis. It's been some years now. I am not really a feminist, but sometimes I can be. But then it is the fact that a helpmate means somebody to be by your side, somebody to support you, somebody to protect you also, somebody to advise you, somebody to guide you, and somebody to be there at every given time. And I know I use this analogy with God didn't take us from the brain or from the head of a man, so we are not going to stand over him. He didn't take us from under his foot, so we cannot be trodden upon, but we actually were taken from one of his ribs. And so that makes a man to be depending on a woman because he's missing a rib. And we are complete, okay? Just saying it.
So what are you saying? That men are dependent on women?
That is where the helpmate comes from, because a man can reason out, but honestly speaking, there's this old saying, behind every man is very successful man is a strong woman. Yes, and in most cases, it's not necessarily their wife. Most of the times it can be their mother, it can be their grandmother, it can be even their sister. There's always some woman's perspective in how a man can analyze things. No matter how you look at it, they think that, oh, women don't have a place. But who raises the man? I usually tell men, I say, be careful, because we are either your mothers or we are the mothers of your children. So be careful what you're doing to a woman, because it will come back to you.
Wow. Okay. However, being a helper does not imply that a woman was inferior. Because some men will say the women is the weaker sex.
Yeah.
They are like, women are inferior to the man. But like you described the helper, can we look at the helper and say somebody that God made to help you, to say that they are inferior to you?
That is the point that I just don't get it, how men look at us as the weaker sex. I remember some time ago when I did mention it, and then some people came back with quotes of the Bible. Yes, God says the weaker sex, God says the weaker sex. But then it's like taking a part of what God is saying, because at the same time, when I read it, it says she might be perceived to be a weaker sex. Let me ask you a direct question. You're a man. Have you ever had a tummy ache?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And it's not good experience.
All right, thank you. You see my reaction? Because as a man, you go, it's not a good experience. We're like, that's just like I said, oh, I'm tired today. And then the man goes, oh, that is your tummy ache. Because the pains a woman go through, tummy ache is just like, oh, I have a migraine kind of thing. Whoa. For a woman. Yes.
Yeah, I know, because there have been situations where I have had stomach aches and I roll on the floor like, my God, it is painful.
Yeah.
That's why I can imagine what you guys go through.
Yeah.
Okay, now, when we get married, let's say we look for a woman that we want to get married to, and we get married, and there is this verse in the Bible where it says women should be submissive to their husbands. Should women be submissive?
Just as I said, it's interesting how, like, if from a woman's perspective, I'll look at the Bible and find the verse that is convenient for me. And the men are taking this thing to be women should be submissive to their husbands. But have you completed the text? Husbands, love your wives as God has loved you, as God loved the church, as Jesus loved the church. And the principal word there is love. Love is not just an emotion. It's a complete package. With love comes respect. I mean, when you respect your wife, with all sincerity, I know people say, oh, my mother is this, my mother is that, but you hardly hear them actually do say that. Especially coming from men who were raised by women, will tell you, oh no, you don't talk about my mother like that. Some men do who disrespect the mothers, but then you imagine the pain and the strain that mother went through for the 9 months and all the years, especially going through a period where most of us were single moms. Most women were single moms, and I, being a single mom by volunteering to being a single mom, I never asked for anything, any help from any parents. I raised so many kids, and I did it on my own salaries. Because I was like, tell the parents, don't worry, not that I could afford it, but I just wanted them to be mine. And then realize that you can do that also if you don't happen to be married. So when it comes to that part where they tell the husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Love the wife as you love yourself. If you want the best for you, that's what you want for your wife. And honestly speaking, no matter what the strains and the struggles you'll be going through, when you show love and respect to your wife, except that woman doesn't appreciate you, she will do anything you ask for because of what? You've given her that honor, that covering. It's not the hair on the head, but that covering that woman is looking for is the security to know I have a man who is backing me up.
Yes, I know I have a man who is backing me up. I love that part. You are watching us on the Vandy Christian Network, and my guest today is Miss Olive Sawyerr. Okay, as we talk about the rights, let us come into our homes. I want to look at our homes. In a home, should the woman be respectful to her husband, even if she has the upper hand and makes more money and of course have a better job? Should the woman still be respectful to her husband?
Well, I'm going to be realistic. It is expected that the woman should be respectful. It all comes to one instance. It's just as I said, the love actually goes two ways. Because when the husband shows the love, the appreciation, and they reciprocate that, the love will make a woman be so submissive and accept. I know of women who are going through that, who even I'll take for example, even like the days of our parents. Nowadays we'll say, oh, we are not as dumb as they were. No. There was something within them that made them to know this can be a phase. No matter how much I'm earning, no matter how much I'm making, I am there to be his backbone. He appreciates me. Does he appreciate me? I know God appreciates me. Because at the base and the foundation of it is a praying woman. A praying woman in a home makes the home stronger. So, because the money will come and they will go. Opportunities will come and will go. Influences and outside forces will come and will go that will affect the home in some ways. I'm not going to say I'm innocent of not talking out of my relationship or talking, because sometimes you want to let the steam out. But then at the end of the day, trying to stand over, yes, you can make it if the man wants to be the submissive one and change over the roles. But if that doesn't make you happy, or are you getting the full cooperation from your partner, your spouse, your husband, your significant other in that case, when I'm earning more than you, I am doing everything, I'm the one bringing everything inside of the home, and I'm doing this and that. There are some men who are ready to be the Mr. Wife in the house, like we said, the house man.
I was just going to ask you, how can a man be the submissive one?
Yeah, there's some men who don't mind doing it. But then I've seen those relationships where it's a partnership. Like the men are ready to say, okay, I'll take care of the kids, you go bring the money in. But then the woman gives the man so much respect that you're like asking yourself, who is really working in this family? Because they don't bring it up. There is that love, that innate love, and that mutual respect. We women, I keep on saying, because we have all of our ribs together, I'm telling you, sometimes that is why you see there are so many single women and so many single mothers. We believe we can do it all. But at the end of the day, there's always that missing piece in our lives. There's something that tells us, I think I'm full, but then I'm really not fulfilled. It comes to a point in life when you look like your children are all grown and you're like, oh, am I going to stay alone? And then you realize, oh, I have a husband after all.
After all. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, I want to bring you back to the Bible. Like, let's go back to the Old Testament era, okay? Yeah. And let us look at the times, in the Old Testament, women enjoyed greater liberty, and esteem, and many women in the Old Testament they distinguish themselves as prophetesses, as leaders in society. Women such as Deborah, as Esther, Hannah, Huldah, to name a few. But when we come to the New Testament, all right, by the time of Jesus, women no longer had that freedom and status that they enjoyed in the Old Testament. They had become, the society at that time had become male dominated. And women, like we talked about inferiority earlier, women were considered inferior, being assigned to almost everything in the home, the domestic things that they're supposed to be doing, and they're not allowed to take any leadership roles like in the synagogues or in the church and other stuff. So how would you compare that era to the era of Jesus and what we have now? It's interesting that you brought up this point, but then the main part here is, even during Jesus's time, you will notice that he did mention about the women. They were the background workers. They were that's why the group eventually came out that they call themselves the silent workers in the church. They were the ones getting everything ready, making the way ready, getting people organized, letting people know that Jesus is coming to this area. Because just imagine,
Some of them were married and some of them were not married to these disciples, but they had to let them know, people know, oh, they are coming, the gospel is coming. They were the ones who would be like the town criers. They were the ones who would get everybody organized. And they were the ones, in other words, and still are, the intercessors. The silent role of a woman in the church cannot go unidentified. It's just that because these disciples were so focused on talking about Jesus, you didn't hear much about the women. But then nothing comes by chance. It could have taken Peter or Thomas or John to go to the graveyard. You know? No, it had to take Mary to go there, to be the first person to see Jesus. You know? And she brought back the news. That's why they say, okay, women are the storytellers. But then that is the joy of a woman. You know, the way, I don't know, like people try to, I guess because God created us so unique and so beautiful, we should appreciate the flowers in the fields, the animals and the variety, and we respect them for what they have. Why don't we respect us, the women? Why are the women not appreciated for their beauty?
And even when Jesus was traveling, he normally takes the women with him.
Yes, he does. And even Paul talks about women also in the Bible, you know. But then these women were the key role players. But then because they were in the background, and because, as I said, if you look at the New Testament, they were really focused on talking about what Jesus was doing. And when you go into the Acts of the Apostles, you will hear about one or two of them. But then that doesn't mean they were not present. They were always there. But then the stories that were being told were more focused on, you know, what Jesus was doing and how the main disciples were handling things.
And you know, if I can go back to what Jesus did at the well with the Samaritan woman.
Yes.
This is somebody that people don't want to talk to.
Yes.
You know, the Jews will not talk to her, nobody. But Jesus had to make a stop, whether that was deliberate, but he had a very lengthy conversation with this woman.
Yes.
You know, a very lengthy conversation.
And with all respect.
With all respect.
Yes.
And, you know, this woman had to run and tell everybody to come and see this man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it means that Jesus was very, very respectful of women and the roles that they play.
Yeah. Yes.
Hallelujah.
He is. And he is, what I'm saying he is not in the past, it's because there are so many revelations that are coming through women. There are so many things that God is using women to talk about. You know, there's this saying that you educate a man, you educate an individual, you educate a woman, you educate a whole generation. There are so many things that women will be saying. I mean, like Mahalia's movie coming out shortly, and people are now, I didn't know that because, you know, because of the way I didn't know about that. But she's saying, say your dream, tell them your dream. And now people are like, had she not said it, Martin Luther King might not have revealed the dream. You know? So you're looking at it and you're like, she was in the background, right? And Martin was up there. And it took Mahalia to say, tell them the dream. That means he must have said the dream to Mahalia, or God must have revealed to Mahalia, tell him to tell the dream.
Hallelujah. All right. This is the Vandy Christian Network. And don't forget to be a supporter of the network. We broadcast on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and also like our Facebook page. And of course, follow us on Instagram. Today, we're talking about women. And we're looking at the rights and whatever we can bring. I want us to look at how Paul reaffirmed equality to all Christians, all right? That there was no difference based on birth, status, or gender.
Yeah.
All had the same privileges and blessings as God's children.
Yeah.
But, you know, now at least we're seeing where women are taking top positions in the churches. But before that, we have some places where women cannot be priests, where they cannot be leaders in the church. They can just be put at a particular situation, just like what was happening in those days. So I want us to look at that he said, you are not chosen because of your gender. You're not chosen because of a man or being a man or a woman. Let us expand on that a little bit.
You know, the perception, I believe, came when people thought that, of course, where people would say a woman is unclean when she's going through her cycle and all of those things, so you cannot come to the altar, you cannot come to the place of worship, you know, but that doesn't determine and deter the woman from still being who she is. She is going through that phase because that is a phase God puts her through to go to it's part of her nature and a part of her being, right? But then just trying to limit, just as you said in the Old Testament, there were prophetesses. And what does that mean? They would prophesy. People would go to them and they would pray for people, and they would come to cities and they would go to families and reveal to them what God has said. You know, even when you look at the story of Esther, when her uncle came and she told her uncle, pray for me because I cannot go see the king without him first inviting me in. You know, and then you're looking at who was Esther then and compared to who she became, Queen Esther. And like my mother would normally say Dorcas because she doesn't say Dorcas. She said Dorcas in the Bible was a seamstress, and my mother happened to be a seamstress, you know, and sewing, making clothes out of little rags, creating all of these things. The other day I was listening to Dolly Parton's story, and when she wrote about the coat of many colors, her own interpretation of it was a true story for her too. You know, the little rags that her mother would put together. When you look at this background story of what the roles women have played and the history of the quilts and all of those things, it tells you that there are so many pointers that people have ignored and try to say, oh, it's a man's world. Cool, it's a man's world. But guess what? It needs a woman to put it together.
Definitely need a woman to put it together. You know, from 1 Corinthians, Paul says that women were allowed to pray and prophesy. And we also know that many women were prominent in the churches, and that Paul approved and encouraged them.
Yeah.
He approved and encouraged them. Hallelujah. So I want to believe that in today's generation, women should not take the back seat.
No, not at all.
Women should always rise up.
Yeah.
And I want us to just leave that and come to, like, when we look at the present day, even in political circles, even from where we come from, that as a woman, and you have to step up to take up your position. Women have to step up to take up their position. You don't just want to sit back and wait for you to be called and be given.
Yeah.
I don't know if you look at it that way.
Yes, that is true. You know, just to, like, in another way to put it right here, I feel bad that some men in the society now today are not being responsible enough. And I sometimes blame the mothers because we have a tendency to teach the girls how to be submissive, how to be obedient, how to take care of their husbands. It's like women don't have anything in life except to do those things, you know, and how to take care of the kids. And the boys, you tell them, oh, don't worry, go play ball with your friends, go do this. But then no, let them go through the whole scenario, okay? This is how you treat a woman. In the first place, come clean the house, you know, so that when you have a wife, you know how to take care of her, you know how to be compliment her, because God gave the woman to complement you, a helpmate, not a slave, not a worker, not a hireling, not somebody who will just treat us anything, you know. So coming to that is why somehow I look at it like, as mothers, as women, let's not forget, raise the boys. You look at a strong man nowadays, You look at them and they'll tell you, my mother never let me go. She made me to do this. She made me to understand this.
She made me to be what I am today.
Exactly. And so, because the fathers, some of them they're not used to being in that role. Either they didn't have the father figure, or as I once heard, you cannot give what you don't have. So it's because they didn't have anybody to show them how to treat a woman, they just don't know how to do it.
All right. Well, I think we'll drop the curtains here today, but I'm pretty sure this is such a wide topic, and we'll have to come back and talk more about this, and we'll have to invite some other people. Maybe they will have different views, so that we can all come and
make a discussion
out of it. But if you can leave this place now, what will be your final advice to young women that are growing up, that are keeping back? They don't want to be involved. They don't want to take up that responsibility.
Yes, as I grew up in a two-parent home, and we had a very strong mother. And not that we didn't have a strong father, but then a very, very strong mother she was more predominant in the home in raising us up as girls to be women and to be independent women. And so that is the culture I would like to leave with the young people today. It's not that when we were growing up, I used to say I used to have two mothers. Society depends on who you choose. You can have a mentor. You just cannot say, oh, my mother didn't teach me. Look for a mentor. Look for somebody, a woman that can help you, that can guide you, that can be that pivot for you. Or, internet is now open. Read, especially this is Women's History Month. Look about women, even the little girls that are coming up, that are starting new enterprise and starting something that will encourage one another. Look up to them and because we are going to be the mothers. Or rather, you in this case, you're going to be the mothers of tomorrow's generation. We are bailing out slowly, and so we want you to stand up. Don't look back. Don't look at, my mother will say, a quick penny is better than a slow shilling. And shilling in those days was like 10 pennies. So like today you will say, get a dime in your pocket, and then it's better than $1, okay? But then do what you can. Don't wait for somebody to give it to you. Do what you can, and do it with utmost respect and humility. You are to be respected. You are to be adored. You are to be coddled. You are to be loved. You have everything going for you, but you can only do it if you start with yourself. Love yourself first. See how far you can go on your own, and God will bring all those things to you. God bless you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Sawyerr, and it was great having you again.
Thank you for having me.
I hope this will not be the last, that you will come back whenever we call you.
Definitely will. I won't make promises, but I will try. Well, definitely will. Yes, my definite will be definite, okay?
All right. Well, thank you very much, and that was a great discussion. I hope you learned a whole lot out of that. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook page, and you can also share this video. Share it with your friends, share it with anybody that you so love. Join us again next time. I am Pastor David Vandy, and this is the Vandy Christian Network. Don't forget to be a part of this network. You can support us through Cash App or Zelle. The telephone number is 703-499-2892. 703-499-2892. Till next time, have a blessed day.